The following is a collection of my experiments with morning glory seeds. I read many bits about morning glory seeds on the net, and so I decided to check into the high myself. I ordered 2 ounces, $12, of Heavenly Blues from Redwood City Seed Company. I know they came untreated because there were some tiny rocks mixed in with the seeds. I decided to get a sample of the effect, and to sort of baseline strength, so I ground up 25 seeds and down it went. Interestingly enough, 25 seeds fit very nicely into a 500 mg capsule. I felt some mild effects, tense stomach, a very slight strangeness, mild sensitivity to room temperature, and a little drowsiness. So the next week I thought I would try 100 seeds. I took 1 Dramamine 30 minutes before ingesting 100 seeds, which were nicely packed into 4 capsules. After about 1.5 hours the effect started to come on. I felt very tired and took a short 30-minute nap. When I awoke I was still feeling tired and lethargic, but the effects of the glories were still with me. The next 5 hours I was very lazy, food tasted funny, and no visuals. My vision was somewhat funny, sort of fish-eyed. Everything seemed to be at a distance, neither enjoyable or unenjoyable. After about 4 hours I started to get some very intense gas, and that is when I think I was peaking. The feeling was like being on mushrooms but without the comfortable euphoric feeling. Not something I would desire again. Thought it wasn't terrible. My next step would be to attempt the extraction which is documented in the Morning Glory FAQ. So I took 700 seeds and ground them up into a powder in my coffee grinder. 700 seeds equals approximately 1.5 ounces. I thought I had ground the substance well, but as I discovered later, the husks don't grind very easily. I then put Mg powder into a small glass container and decided that I would use starting fluid as my first solvent. I found a starting fluid that was heptane, diethyl ether and hexane. After reading the solvent FAQ I decided that this would be an acceptable substitute. I sprayed the starting fluid into a container to capture and contain it. I then poured it into my container holding the ground seeds, a small glass jar. I let it soak for 45 minutes, then I filtered out the ground seeds, using a coffee filter, and let it dry. Next I used Everclear, 150 proof, as my alcohol solvent. I mixed the ground seeds with 4 shots of alcohol and let this mixture soak for 4 days. I made sure I shook the container twice a day at least. On the 5th day I took a syringe and used it to extract the clear alcohol from the container. I figured this was easier than trying to filter it all. I then took the remaining glop, plus a small amount of alcohol which was left, and filtered it through a coffee filter. I got about 3/4 a shot out of it. I saved this and figured I would try this to check strength. After ingesting the 3/4 shot, will definitely not win any taste awards. I sat back and waited for the effects. After about 15 minutes I felt different. After 1 hour I was feeling quite a bit different, much like being on shrooms. After 3 hours I was peaking and the effect was very similar to a mild dose of shrooms, though, minus the pleasant visuals. No nausea, no blurry vision, and generally a very nice feeling. Much like a weak mushroom experience. I have about 3 full shots left and I figure that 1.5 shot should provide a nice trip. 3 shots should provide an experience. Conclusion? Well, for one, the Morning Glory FAQ extraction technique does work. Is it worth it? Hard to say. My 3 shots probably cost me $25 and should give me and a friend a nice trip. Given that shrooms aren't available in my area, this is a fun exercise. The extraction definitely beats taking the seeds raw. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it any other way. I have been wondering if letting the mixture, my 3 shots of Mg extraction, could be evaporated into just a powdery substance. If this would be possible, I could reduce all my work into something that would be easy to ingest. I decided to forego this step and just evaporate my magical mixture until I had about 1 shot of magic alcohol. Note: if I was to do this all over again, I would look for a starting fluid that consisted of just diethyl ether, as the other additives of the starting fluid seemed to leave an unpleasant aftertaste to my final mixture. Also, I would grind the seeds even more than I had so that the husks would be pulverized more. In the final mixture, there were too many large chunks of seeds, somewhat the consistence of ground pepper. A finer powder would probably yield more magic, but be more difficult to filter.